Welcome to The Explainer. Today we are diving into a really personal, really complex topic. What actually happens after a decision is made about infidelity?
And, while every single situation is totally unique, it turns out there are some surprisingly predictable emotional patterns that pop up, no matter which choice someone makes, to stay or to leave.
So every choice, right? It's got these immediate feelings, but also these long-term consequences. Let's really get into this and explore the two main paths people might take.
Okay, so let's start with path one, the choice to stay. What does that feel like right after the decision is made? Well, in the short term, the emotional reality can be just incredibly tough.
Yeah, choosing to stay often comes with this profound emotional cost. People literally describe it as feeling like their soul is being torn apart. Some even compare it to an addict going through withdrawal. You've got this constant tension, this feeling of being totally caged in, and it makes it almost impossible to focus on work or just, get through the day.
But here's the thing. This super intense phase, it doesn't last forever. It typically goes on for a few months, maybe up to a year, but emotional stability does start to come back. So how does this really difficult journey stack up against the other option?
Please like, subscribe, and leave a comment. You are doing important work.
Which brings us to path number 2, the choice to leave.
And at first, wow, the experience is the complete opposite. A lot of people who go this route feel this incredible euphoria, this powerful sense of a brand new beginning. They're convinced that the passion they feel in this new connection is just gonna last forever.
But that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Can that initial high, that euphoria, actually last in the long run? Do those super powerful emotions from the affair really survive the jump into a normal, day-to-day relationship?
Well, this is where things get really interesting. Both science and psychology show us that over time, some pretty big changes are almost guaranteed to happen. Let's break down exactly why that is.
Okay, so a huge factor here is something called the forbidden fruit effect. Think about it. The secrecy of an affair, the risks, the obstacles, all that stuff acts like a massive stimulant. It's exciting. But once the relationship is out in the open and official, that whole source of excitement just vanishes.
And you can actually see this reflected in our own biology. This whole journey of passion starts with a euphoric rush, right? Your body is flooded with dopamine, oxytocin, and testosterone. But, and this is the key, your body just can't keep that up forever. It's not built for that kind of high alert state. So eventually, things have to stabilize, and you return to a more normal, more tranquil emotional state.
It's like nature gives us this short fertility honeymoon, but it absolutely does not last forever. So really, this intense phase is basically a biological feature that comes with a built-in expiration date. It's powerful for sure, but it's temporary.
All right, so let's zoom out and look at the long-term view. How do these two very different emotional journeys actually compare when you look at the bigger picture?
And this right here is the absolute crucial point. Even though these two paths start at completely opposite emotional poles, one with intense pain, the other with intense euphoria, they both tend to lead to a very similar place in the long run, a return to emotional stability. Those initial feelings, whether they were agonizing or totally exhilarating, they eventually fade.
This just goes to show how important it is to try and look beyond the powerful emotions of the moment, whether they're good or bad. What feels absolutely essential right now might look totally different in the future. The intensity of now just isn't a great predictor of what later will actually be like.
So what's the key takeaway from all this? Well, it's that intense emotions are temporary. Passion, it always transforms, and yeah, it fades. So when you're making a huge, life-altering choice, you've got to assess it based on the long-term consequences, not just on how you're feeling in the heat of the moment.
Which leaves us with a really powerful question to think about. If all intense emotions are temporary, how should we approach our most important decisions? It really makes you think about foresight and wisdom over just acting on a momentary impulse. Thanks for joining me for this explainer.
Please like, subscribe, and leave a comment. If you want to overcome betrayal, break toxic cycles, take control of your relationship choices, read How to Deal with a Love Triangle. The link is below the video.